For those of you who are avid Bible readers, biblical scholars, students at the seminary, or just people who attend church and Sunday school every week, you might be familiar with the story of Isaac's two sons, Jacob and Esau. If you are familiar with that story, then it is pretty much widely accepted that Jacob stole Esau's birthright. But did he really? Did Jacob really steal Esau's birthright? Or did Esau steal Jacob's birthright beforehand and Jacob simply came to take it back? We're going to explore that question on this upcoming edition of Maddie's Rap. Stick around. Hello, and welcome back for another edition of Maddie's Rap. I'm your host, the multiple award-winning author, Matt D. Talford, author of some pretty powerful and amazing and entertaining books that I will tell you about at the end of this video. But for now, we want to deal with the topic that you heard in the introduction. Jacob and Esau, eternal rivals. And I said eternal, that was not a mistake, all right? I'm giving you guys a little bit of a sneak preview, so you might want to read between the lines and listen carefully, all right? No quizzes here, so you don't have to write anything down. But you are going to want to write down the references for today, all right? So before I get into today's topic and the references, I would first off like to welcome back my returning subscribers, all right? Thank you. You guys have helped me to eclipse the 700 subscriber mark and counting. You guys know that my goal was to be at 1,000 subscribers by summertime. We still got about, Today's the 3rd. We got roughly 2 to 3 weeks left before we're officially in summer. So I need you guys' help. I need you to give this video a thumbs up by the end of it, because I know you're going to like it, because this is a special format that I'll tell you about in about 30 seconds, okay? I know you're going to like it. But also sharing this video. Sharing it gets the word out, and you know what? That's a beautiful segue into what we're going to be debuting today, all right? And then I promise you we're going to jump right into the subject matter. Today, I'm debuting a new format called First Fridays, all right? Because moving forward, barring any unforeseen circumstances, on the first Friday of every month, I'm going to be posting a community topic, okay? A topic where I'm going to ask you guys a question, and I want to hear from you guys in the comments. I want to hear from in the comments what your answer is to the question. And you kind of got a preview of the question in the preview. Did Jacob steal his brother Esau's birthright? Or was Jacob coming back to steal back or to take back what Esau took from him? Pretty controversial, right? All right. I know. No one's probably ever looked at it that way, but we're going to deep dive into that today. And if you've been following my channel for the last 2 or 3 months, you guys know that there's this underlying theme that I've been touching on, which has to deal with the soul, reincarnation, and the fact that the soul never dies. When we're pretty much eternal beings operating, time-sensitive vehicles, if you will. Spacesuits, I like to call them. Okay, so I'm not going to jump heavy into reincarnation in this video, but you're going to see where I'm going when I give you these references, all right? So again, did Jacob take his brother's Esau's birthright, or was it the other way around? Now, let me give you some references that you're going to want to write down, and because I'm going to be reading these references today, and the question is out there. Some of you might want to answer it right now. Some of you may want to watch this video, but this is going to be something for us to discuss in the comment board, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a follow-up next Friday where I'm going to come back and give you what my final take is on it. And of course, I'm going to include my favorite comments. So you guys be as detailed or as concise as you want in the comments. Doesn't matter. Be comfortable, okay? Do you. As I always say, do you. So next week, I'm going to follow up. I'm going to read you guys' comments. I'm going to read my top 5, my top 5 comments, or my five favorite comments. I'm going to read those on the air. And then, I'm going to give you my final take on it. And we're going to get into, you're going to really like what's coming next week, because I got some passages of scripture that I did not want to add to this one because it would have only lengthened the video. So let me give you those references and we'll get started. Reference number 1 is going to come from the book of Jeremiah, the 1st chapter and the 5th verse. You guys, if you've been following me and watching my videos, you know I've read this one before and kind of built some narrative around it. So Jeremiah 1 and 5 is reference number 1. Number 2, Genesis chapter 25, verses 19 through 33. Okay, write that down. The next reference is going to be from the Antiquities of the Jews. Okay, Antiquities of the Jews. To get that, I'm going to share with you guys how you can download a free digital copy of the complete works, or AKA the writings of Flavius Josephus. That is one of the books that is included in the in that library, the writings of Flavius Josephus. It is called Antiquities of the Jews. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful piece of not literature, beautiful piece of writing, beautiful piece of scripture. I like to call this the Old Testament expanded, the Old Testament under the microscope. So a lot of stuff in the Old Testament just gives you the nuggets. I thought I was getting the whole story until I read Antiquities of the Jews, and I'm like, that makes sense now. So this next reference comes from the Antiquities of the Jews, book 1, chapter 18. Okay, Antiquities, book 1, chapter 18. And what we're going to be reading is chapter 18.1, and then we're going to jump over and read chapter 18.5 through .8. Okay, so that format, you'll see it in there once you get it. It's going to be like the first number you see is the book number, the second number you see is the chapter number, and the third number you see in that, triplet, if you will. I forget what that number is called, or what that word is called. That third number you're going to see is the section number. So it goes book, chapter, and section. In this case, we're going to be doing 1.18.1, and then we're going to skip over and do 1.18.5 through .8. Okay, that's Antiquities of the Jews. And again, when I get to that, I'm going to show you guys how you can well, it was free when I downloaded it, and I've had it on my computer for a while. I don't know if it's still free, but I'll tell you the app, and then I'll tell you how you can get it. And then our final reference is going to come from the book of Malachi. It'll be Malachi chapter 1, verses 2 and 3. All right, so hopefully you guys wrote that down, because we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to jump into the topic. Did Jacob steal Esau's birthright? Or was Jacob taking back what was already his? After this break. Okay, guys, welcome back to Maddie's Rap. And without further ado, we're going to jump into today's topic and start banging on it. Did Jacob really steal Esau's birthright, or was it the other way around? All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to read the reference, the title of the reference. I'm going to tell you why I think that's important, and then I'm actually going to read the verse. I'm going to read the scripture, I'm going to read the verse, and then I'll move on to the next. Again, I'm just giving you the information. You guys are going to let me know. You're going to let your friends know. You're going to let other people in the comment section know what you think about today's subject matter, about the text that we read, and you're going to answer that question. All right, and then you guys can debate it in the comment section or whatever. I'm going to jump in. I'll look at all the comments, so I'm going to see what you guys are saying, and I'm going to give you what I think at the end. And some of you guys probably are looking at me like, come on, Matt, we know you already know what you think on this, but I want to save it to next week, because again, next week I'm going to build on it, and I'm going to give you some very powerful scripture, because essentially you guys know that everything I do, everything I write, everything I discuss, this is my mantra with life. Okay, just as an aside before we get into it, with every what, there's a connected why. All right, there's no such thing as a why without a what. What do you mean by that, Matt? Okay, the water's cold. This water's actually not cold. It's room temperature by now, but the water's cold. Okay, well, I just told you the water's not cold. It's room temperature. Was it cold before? And if so, why? Why is the water room temperature now? We have to explore the why with everything, because we see people all the time arguing about what, and they don't go that next step to explore why. Why is the beginning of understanding. Why is the beginning of understanding. It is the beginning of understanding, understanding, overstanding, outerstanding. Whatever perspective you want to stand from, all right? So with every what, there's a connected why, all right? So the reason why I'm going over this today is because next week, I'm going to tell you why it is important that we know how that really went. Did Jacob really steal his birthright, or was it the other way around? That's very important. It's very important to know why, and I'm going to talk about the why next week. So now let's get into this, all right? Jeremiah 1 and 5. And this, you can call this the umbrella theme today here. You can call this the umbrella. This is everything that I'm going to talk about now is built off of this. All right. Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5. It's in here. It's been a long week, but you know what? We're still grinding. We are still grinding. Jeremiah chapter 1. All right. Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5. Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee. And I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. Okay, let me go back. Let me read that again. I'm going to add verse 4 in there, okay? Then the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee. And I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. Now, that is the Most High talking to Jeremiah, okay? All right, so why did I read that? I've talked about this in a previous video. Before I formed thee in the womb, I knew thee. Where did he know him from? Where did he know him from? This is the basis for my belief that you existed somewhere before you incarnated, before your soul was injected into your body. Your energy already existed somewhere else. Now, you're going to see why I read that scripture as we get on down to this, or get on down to the meat of this, all right? That's the appetizer, all right? Before I formed thee in the belly, or before I formed thee in the womb, I knew thee, okay? All right? Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee. Sanctified thee, set you apart as special, okay? Before he came out of the womb, the Most High said, you know what? I got something special for you. Sanctified, we looked at definition of that word up before. Sanctify, to set apart or declare holy, or to consecrate. All right, holy simply means set apart. It's not this whole pious thing of, oh, I'm blameless. Oh, that's not holy. Holy is consecrated. Consecrated is set apart, set aside for a special reason, a special occasion. So he says here, before you came out of the womb, I sanctified you. He selected him. He was chosen, the chosen ones. We hear that theme a lot. We are hearing that theme a lot here lately, okay? So Jeremiah was chosen. He was one of the chosen ones back in the day. Now, where was he chosen? He said, I chose you before I put you in the belly, before I formed you in the womb. Before you came out of the womb, you were already chosen, all right? Keep that in mind. Now, let's go on down. The next reference is Genesis, the 25th chapter. Let's do that. All right? Genesis, the 25th chapter, verse 19, all right? 19 through 33. And you guys know by now, I read from the King James Version. Whatever version you guys want to read from and follow along, please help yourself. Now, verse 19. And these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begot Isaac. And Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian, of Padanaram, the sister to Laban the Syrian. Verse 21, and Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren. So Isaac basically like, Lord, come on, you got to help me out here. Thunder in the background. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren. And the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I like this? And she went on to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. 2 different kinds of people. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. Verse 24, let me turn off my notifications here. Let's see. Sorry about that. Okay, verse 24. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. Verse 26, and after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. Okay. So this was pretty much like 20 years after he married her. He married her at 40. A score is 20 years, 60. So Isaac was 60 years old when they were born. All right. And the boys grew, verse 27, and the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents. Now, it says plain here, I'm not sure what that means by plain. I would have to look. One of you guys want to leave it in the comments, breaking down, is this the word plain, like he lives in the plains, like, like home on the range type plain, or was it saying plain like, vanilla, nothing fancy about him, nothing special about him, he's just plain? Okay. Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. I'm not going to get into that. If one of you guys want to leave that in the comments, I would greatly appreciate it. Verse 28, and Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison. So Isaac liked to eat deer meat, and Esau was a hunter. Okay. But Rebekah loved Jacob, and Jacob sawed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. So here's Jacob's out here. He out here in the field. I was about to say out in these streets, but they weren't out in the streets. They were out in the field. So Jacob's out there in the field. He's cooking a pot of soup, and Jacob sawed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint, or he was like worn out or beaten down. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee. Or weak. Faint and weak are two. Those words can be used synonymous there. So let me read that again. And Jacob sawed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. And Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die, or I'm at the point of death. And you talking about a birthright? Verse 32 again. And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do to me? So in other words, he's like, man, look, you want the birthright, you can have it. I don't care, man. I'm about to look, if I pass out from not eating, all right, if I die right here because you ain't sharing your soup, that birthright means nothing. You're gonna retain it anyway, all right? So, or you're gonna get it anyway. And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he sware unto him. And he sold his birthright unto Jacob. Okay. And then if you guys want to read verse 34, then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils. And he did eat and drink and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. Okay. That was Genesis 19 and Genesis 25 and 19 through 33, or I read all the way down to verse 34. So let's take a look at that for just a second before we go on to the third reference. So here's the story in the book of Genesis about what's going on. Esau, we know he's a hunter. We know back then they didn't use firearms. These were mighty men that used heavy weaponry that were pretty much, wood and metal or whatever. So these guys would carry these huge, heavy doggone spears, and they carry bows and arrows and battle axes and swords and hatchets and daggers and, whatever, blades. And so these guys had to use a lot of energy, and they walked everywhere. There was no cars, no pickup trucks, no four-wheelers. These guys were on foot, okay, unless they had horses. And it doesn't say here he was on a horse, so we know he walked to wherever he had to go, all right? He went there, whatever. We don't know why he was like really weak. It doesn't go into detail there on that. But we know that when he encountered his brother, he was faint, as the scripture says, or weak, and he needed food badly, okay? So Jacob said, hey, man, if you give me your birthright, I'll give you some of this soup. You don't get it, you're going to die, and I'm going to get your birthright anyway. It's like, man, if I die, you're going to get the birthright anyway. So Jacob was like, look, Jacob was trying to punk him, and just from what I read here, he's trying to punk him. He doesn't want to really let his brother die, but he knows his brother's caught between a rock and a hard place. So he's like, look, swear it right now. Swear to me. And you know what the scripture said about swearing. You ain't supposed to swear by nothing, right? And when it was swearing, in other words, it's taking an oath. I ain't talking about saying a curse word or telling somebody F you because they crossed you wrong. That's not swearing. All right. That's cussing. All right. That's different. Swearing is like pretty much giving an oath. That was like on your life or whatever, on your seed, as some people say, whatever. That's swearing. So he swore to him that he could have his birthright. I'm getting to that in a minute. All right. And Jacob said, all right, bet. Here, appreciate that, dog. Boom. All right, here go the soup for you. Gave him the soup. He ate it and he lived, and they went on their way. All right. Now, I'm about to read to you the Antiquities because it gives a slightly different story. Or was it really different? You know, was it the fact that maybe perhaps some things were edited out of the original text here in Genesis in the Old Testament? Was it left out? Was it edited out? Or did they not even know about it? Whoever wrote the Old Testament, whoever wrote the book of Genesis, how did they not know this? And Flavius Josephus did. And by the way, listen, I'm going to give you my opinion on Flavius real quick. A lot of people are like, oh, Flavius Josephus was a Greek. He was a Greek convert. He wasn't a Hebrew. My name is Matt Talford, okay? Matt, short for Matthew, all right? That is an English name. It's not Hebrew, okay? Talk about that another day, another time. It's not Hebrew. It's not. Look, I don't know what my original name would have. Well, I know what the Hebrew version of Matthew is, but I'm getting in the weeds here a little bit. If 1,000 years from now, if they were to take my images off my books and say this was written by Matthew Talford, you wouldn't know that I was a brother 1,000 years before. You wouldn't know that, okay? You would know I was a soul brother. You would know I had melanin, because that name, Matthew, is an English name. I'm sorry, Matthew Talford is an English name. I got the last name of whatever slave family owned whatever or whatever. That's how that worked, okay? Talford is not a Hebrew name that I'm aware of. So anyway, some of you might be wondering why I made the Hebrew Association. I'm not getting into that right now. I'm not trying to argue with nobody, whatever. We're sticking to the context, all right? So back to Flavius. Some of y'all gonna be like, oh, Flavius was a brother, all right? But if you know what was going on during the time of Flavius Josephus, the land of Judah was heavily influenced by Greco-Roman culture. So in fact, they spoke more Greek than they did Hebrew. Let me just leave that right there. They spoke more Greek and later Latin than they did Hebrew. I'm gonna leave that right there, okay? Heavy influence of Greco-Roman culture, all right? So now, let's get on to the antiquities. I'm gonna open that up right now. Alrighty. Let's go. Antiquities, Josephus, all right? All right, now we're gonna go from there. We're gonna go to Antiquities of the Jews, Book 1, Chapter 18, go. All right, now, reference number 3, Antiquities, Book 1, Chapter 18. So we're going to Antiquities 1.18.1. Now Isaac's wife proved with child after the death of Abraham, and when her belly was greatly burdened, Isaac was very anxious and inquired of God, who answered that Rebekah should bear twins, and that 2 nations should take the names of those sons, and that he who appeared the second should excel the elder. Accordingly, she, in a little time, as God had foretold, bare twins, the elder of whom, from his head to his feet, was very rough and hairy, but the younger took hold of his heel as they were in the birth. Okay? Now, the father loved the elder, who was called Esau, a name agreeable to his roughness, for the Hebrews call such an hairy roughness Esau, or Seir, S-E-I-R. But Jacob the younger was best beloved by his mother. So this pretty much is in line with what we saw in the book of Genesis. He came out holding on to his heel. I'm going to talk about that when we get to the answer to the question next week, all right? Now, I should give you guys a sneak preview and tell you what I think. Anyway, let me get on. Okay, we're going down to section 5. Antiquities 1.18.5. But when he was old and could not see at all, he called Esau to him, this is Isaac, that besides his blindness and the disorder of his eyes, his very old age hindered him from his worship of God by sacrifice. So they would worship back then by sacrificing an animal, okay? Whatever, that's how they worshiped. There was no, organ, keyboard, praise and worship team, dance team. They weren't doing that. There was no church service back then. You guys heard me say that in another one of my videos. Now, verse 268, he bid him therefore to go out a-hunting, and when he had caught as much venison as he could, to prepare him a supper, that after this he might make supplication to God, to be to him a supporter and an assister during the whole time of his life, saying that it was uncertain when he should die, and that he was desirous by prayers for him to procure beforehand God to be merciful for him. So basically what's happening here is Isaac is older and he's weak. He's too weak to go out and kill a sacrifice. So he loves deer meat. We saw that, okay? He loves eating deer meat, and his oldest son, is the bomb diggity hunter. Okay, he gets out there, he gets it. Nobody in all of the land could hunt like him. Or as they say in the series Game of Thrones, nobody throughout the 7 kingdoms could hunt better than Esau. All right, Esau was the man. He was better than Nimrod. We know those of us that are Bible scholars know that Nimrod was a mighty hunter. Okay, Esau was better than him. This is a little sneak preview for those of you who don't know it. You'll see this if you read the Antiquities. Esau is the one who took out Nimrod. And Nimrod was a bad boy. Nobody wanted it with him. Esau is a little bit badder. Just like my daddy used to tell me when I was little. He said, boy, don't ever think you the baddest man alive. He said, there's always somebody badder than you. He said, God ain't going to make no one man to say he's because then he's going to think he's God over everybody on the planet. He said, no matter how bad you think you are, there's always somebody badder. No matter how fast you think you run, there's somebody who can run faster. Okay, no matter how strong you think you are, somebody's stronger. All right, same here with Esau. Esau was a better hunter than Nimrod. Okay, so his father Isaac says, look, I can't do this anymore. I want to eat some deer meat, but I also want to have enough to do a sacrifice for the Lord, because I got to do this sacrifice in order to pray this prayer and bless you with this birthright. So he knew what he had to do. He didn't tell him that, this is what I'm going to do for you or whatever. But that's what he wanted to do. The word here says that he was desirous by prayers for him to procure beforehand God to be merciful to him. So he wanted to set a prayer and a blessing over Esau's life. So he sent him out to get it. All right. Antiquities 1.18.6. Accordingly, Esau went out a hunting, but Rebekah, thinking it proper to have the supplication made for obtaining the favor of God to Jacob, and that without the consent of Isaac, bid him kill kids of goats and prepare a supper. So his mother, I'm gonna pause here, all right? His mother, Rebekah, she was like, no, this I want you to bless Jacob, not Esau. Okay, you like Esau, I like Jacob. I want Jacob to get this blessing. So she sent Jacob to kill some goats and come back and prepare a meal for his dad. So it's like his dad getting old, he getting senile. Y'all know how we do when we cook. You put that seasoning on there. You don't know if you eating beef or if you eating oxtail. All right, y'all. I mean, it's kind of the same animal, but a cow and an ox is a little bit different. Anyway, you don't know if you're eating beef or oxtail by the time them seasonings done on there. So you cook it right, you don't know the difference. All right. So this is a goat and venison. Now I don't eat deer. I don't know how close they are in flavor. I've had some goat. Not a big fan of it. I've had some goat at the Jamaican restaurant. I'm typically an oxtail guy when I'm going to a Jamaican restaurant. But anyway, that's neither here or there. So his mother said, look, he wanted some deer meat back. You gonna go out there and kill some of them goats and hook it up. Put them seasonings in it, okay? Jacob could cook. Jacob knew what he was doing. He's a bad boy in the kitchen, all right? Esau killed it. Jacob cooked it, all right? All right, here we go. Let's get back on this. So Jacob obeyed his mother according to all her instructions. Now, when the supper was gotten ready, he took a goat's skin and put it about his arm. So he put this goat skin on his arm, that by reason of its hairy roughness, he might by his father be believed to be Esau. So he's trying to trick him. For they being twins and in all things else alike, differed only in this thing. So basically they were the same build is what he's saying. They were twins. They were pretty much the same build. The only difference is one was hairy and red. The other was smooth and brown. Okay. That's the only difference. The only difference. Okay. Both of them. If Esau was muscular, Jacob was muscular too. He was just smooth. He didn't have all that hair on him. Smooth brown skin. The other one, rough, ruddy red skin. All right. Now, for they being twins and in all else things alike, or in all things else alike, differed only in this thing. This was done out of his fear that before his father had made his supplications, he should be caught in his evil practice. So he knew he was doing wrong. And lest he should, on the contrary, provoke his father to curse him. Listen, these men of God back then, remember, what's the scripture say? The power of life and death is in the tongue. These men that were chosen, the chosen ones, listen, when you chosen of the Most High, you got the power to bless, you got the power to curse. He was so scared that his father was going to find out that instead of getting blessed, he would get the opposite and get a curse. He didn't want that. He did not want that smoke. Okay. So he brought in the supper to his father. Now, Isaac, perceiving by the peculiarity of his voice, he was like, I may not be able to see, but your voice, something sound funny about your voice. Let me back up. Isaac, perceiving by the peculiarity of his voice, who he was, called his son to him, who gave him his hand, which was covered with the goatskin. When Isaac felt that, he said, Thy voice is like the voice of Jacob, yet because of the thickness of thy hair, thou seemest to be Esau. So suspecting no deceit, he ate the supper and betook himself to his prayers and intercessions with God, and said, O Lord of all ages, and creator of all substance, for it was thou that didst propose to my father, his father was Abraham, great plenty of good things, and has vouchsafed to bestow on me, or granted, to bestow on me what I have, and has promised to my posterity, or my lineage behind me, to be their kind supporter, and to bestow on them still greater blessings than the ones I got. Okay? Do thou, therefore, confirm these thy promises, and do not overlook me, because of my present weak condition, on account of which I most earnestly pray to thee. Be gracious to this my son, and preserve him, and keep him from everything that is evil. Give him a happy life and the possession of as many good things as thy power is able to bestow. Make him terrible to his enemies, and honorable and beloved among his friends. Okay? Thus did Isaac pray. This is section 7. Thus did Isaac pray to God, thinking his prayers had been made for Esau. He had but just finished them when Esau came in from hunting, and when Isaac perceived his mistake, he was silent. But Esau required that he might be made partaker of the like blessing from his father that his brother had partaken of. But his father refused it, because all his prayers had been spent on Jacob. So Esau lamented the mistake. He was sad over it, deeply sorrowful. However, his father, being grieved at his weeping, said that, quote, he should excel in hunting and strength of body, in arms and all such sorts of work, and should obtain glory forever on those accounts, he and his posterity after him, but still should serve his brother. Okay? And then finally, section 8. Now the mother delivered Jacob when she was afraid that his brother would inflict some punishment upon him because of the mistake about the prayers of Isaac. For she persuaded her husband to take a wife for Jacob out of Mesopotamia of her own kindred. Esau, having married already Basemath, the daughter of Ishmael, without his father's consent, for Isaac did not like the Canaanites, so that he disapproved of Esau's former marriages, which made him take Basemath to wife, in order to please him, and indeed he had a great affection for her. Okay, so that's the Antiquities. All right, that was Antiquities, Book 1, Chapter 18, Section 1, and then Sections 5 through 8. Okay, so you saw what happened there. All right, well, you know what? Let me let me move over to the last reference, and then I'll come back and summarize this, and then we'll end this video. Okay, the last reference comes from the book of Malachi. Okay, we're going to go there now. Malachi verse 1. Malachi chapter 1. Okay. Malachi chapter 1 verse. We'll start at verse 2. Malachi chapter 1 verse 2. I have loved you, saith the Lord. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith the Lord? Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau, and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. All right, I'm gonna read that one more time. This is God. This is the Most High talking to Malachi. Okay, I have loved you, saith the Lord. Yet you say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith the Lord? Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau, and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. So he basically was like, look, I hated Esau so bad, I completely destroyed his dwelling place and left it for the beasts of the field. Now, that was Malachi chapter 1, verses 2 through 3. So we're done with reading our references. Let's go back to the Antiquities, and I'm going to give you my final thoughts, and we'll wrap this video up, okay? So we see in all of these examples, in fact, let's go back up to Jeremiah 1 and 5. What did he say? He said, I knew you before I formed you in the womb, okay? What we're trying to do is we're trying to build and figure out if indeed Jacob stole Esau's birthright or if it was Jacob's in the beginning. I'm going to come back to that, all right? So before I formed thee in the womb, I knew thee. And before you came from your mom's belly, all right, I knew who you were. All right. I sanctified you and set you apart. So I chose you before you got here. He's a chosen one. That means where was he when he chose him? His soul existed somewhere else. You guys hear me speak about a place in my other videos called the realm of souls. This is where your soul exists before you come to incarnate into a body on this planet. All right. Now that was Jeremiah 1:5. Set that to the side. Jeremiah was chosen before he got here as an example. So hold that. That was Jeremiah being chosen by the Most High. Now, Genesis and the Antiquities. And again, I asked the question, were these different parts of the same story? Because in the Bible proper, in the book of Genesis, it says that Esau sold his birthright for a bowl of soup. Okay. But in the Antiquities, we see that Jacob's mother, Rebekah, conspired with her son to get that birthright placed upon, or to get that blessing placed upon Jacob and not Esau. She wasn't a fan of Esau for whatever reason. It doesn't go into detail about that. She was a fan of Jacob. Now, let's look at another element. When Jacob was born, when the two of them were in her belly, they were fighting in her belly. What did the Most High tell? He said, you got two nations in your belly. Okay. One's going to serve the other. The elder is going to serve the younger. Okay. Now, perhaps Rebekah remembered that. Perhaps she remembered that. Esau came out first. He wasn't pretty like Jacob. Esau, they were twin brothers, but one of them was pretty. One of them kind of looks like where he hung out. He looked beastly. Where did Esau hang out during the better part of his life? In the woods, in the fields. Okay. He was a beastly dude. He liked hunting. He had hair all over his body like a beast. Jacob was smooth, butter smooth and brown. All right. So again, are we talking about different parts of the same story? I'm not saying that the Antiquities supersedes what's written in Genesis and it invalidates what's written in Genesis. Perhaps Jacob out there, he fed perhaps and this is total speculation. I'm telling you guys this now. This is total speculation. Perhaps what happened was Jacob had already killed some of those goats when his brother came up and was making that porridge. When his brother came up, his brother was so tired and weak from hunting the venison that he needed some food. So you know what happens when you're real tired and you eat something hearty, that itis set in, all right? And you roll over and go to sleep. So what happened, I believe, is that Jacob, once his brother went to sleep, and Jacob got him to swear before God, basically. He got him to swear before God, hey, hopefully there's somebody in the office that can get this call. Somebody did. Good. Okay, this phone always rings when I'm in here for some reason. Okay, so I think what happened here, I don't think we got two different stories. I think we're looking at two different sides of the same story. I believe that what's written in Genesis, in the Bible proper, is what happened before what Josephus accounts in the Antiquities. I believe that Esau went off to go hunt. When he left, his mother was like, look, we got to get you this birthright. We gonna hook it up, make you look like your brother, trick your daddy into thinking you your brother so you can get this blessing. Okay, so she helps him do this. He goes out, he kills these goats, he starts making this soup. By the time his brother gets back, the soup is ready to eat, and he's like, man, I'm starving. So he gives him this soup. Esau goes to sleep after eating, and he's like, all right, when I'm done, I'm going here and take this to daddy, and he gonna have his, and then we're gonna have this little ceremony, whatever. He gonna bless me, whatever, boom, boom, boom. But he ain't caring about that anyway. He'd already was, hey man, look, you can have my birthright. Okay, so maybe Esau was lying when he said that. Who knows? But Jacob was like, all right, well, you done said it before God. I'm clear to go get this birthright now. Okay, so he goes in and he gets this. You guys heard the story. I'm not going to repeat it. So we know what happened, and then he comes in. So my theory is Esau leaves to go hunt. Jacob goes to go kill the goats. The goats are already there. He ain't got to go look for them. He ain't got to hunt them. So he's got a speed advantage. He's got a time advantage. He cooks the soup. His brother gets back before Jacob could get this soup to his daddy, but Jacob stalls his brother. He's like, oh, he's weak. So who's to say God didn't have a hand in making that a difficult hunt for Esau, right? Who's to say that the Most High did not have a hand in making that a difficult and tiresome and toiling hunt for him? So that by the time he came back with that deer, because remember, what did the daddy say? The daddy said, get as much of it as you can. So Esau, being an obedient child, he went out there and he probably went extra. He probably went extra hard in getting those deer for his daddy. Comes back, He's so weak, he feels like he's about to die. He's stumbling. Brother says, give me your birthright. All right, fine. Give me some of that soup. Boom, you got it. You can have it. I don't care. Give me some soup. I'm hungry. Hey, he goes back. All right, boom. I got my mommy hooked me up. She got the goat skin on me. I feel ruddy. Hey, Daddy, it's Esau. I got your soup. Boy, you don't sound like Esau. You sound like Jacob. Come here. Let me see. Well, maybe something wrong with your throat right now, because I did send you out there to hunt. You've been out there a long time. All right, let me go ahead and eat and bless you. Boom. By the time he's finished blessing him, in comes his brother. And he figured out what happened. So, all right. And then, he says here in Malachi, Jacob have I loved, Esau have I hated. Okay. That's also in the New Testament. There's a New Testament reference to that as well. But Malachi is what the New Testament passage was referencing when it says it is written, for Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. Okay, that's what they were saying. It was written. It was already in there. Old script. All right, now I'm trying to rush so I can wrap this up, guys. So Malachi, he says, I loved you, Jacob. I love Jacob. I hated Esau. In fact, I hated him so bad, I spoiled him. I destroyed him. Okay. Why did he hate Esau and love Jacob? All right. So I'm going to end with this. I want you guys to answer this in the comments. All right. We know that our souls exist somewhere before we came here. How do we know? The references in Jeremiah 1:5. So what was it about Esau that made him hate the Most High, hate him and love Jacob? Here's my theory. All right. And you guys, we can talk about this again. I got some more scripture I'm going to give you next week when I give my final opinion after reading your comments. Here's my initial thoughts. My initial thoughts are that understanding that our souls exist somewhere before, and he says, I hated Esau, but I love Jacob. What did Jacob do to get loved during the course of his life and Esau to get hated? Did they have the same amount of love by the Most High when they came here? The clue is in how they were born. They were fighting in the womb. Esau was born first. Jacob is holding on to his heel as he comes out. What's Matt's theory? Matt's theory is this. Jacob was the chosen one in the ether. He was the one that the Most High chose to be the progenitor of his lineage or chosen people moving forward in the earth. Now, I tell people all the time, I'm like, look, stop getting caught up in Israelite. Oh, I'm an Israelite. But don't get caught up in that, all right? Because Abraham wasn't an Israelite, but he was chosen. Isaac wasn't an Israelite, but he was chosen. Noah was not an Israelite, but he was chosen, okay? So I just wanted to throw those things out there for you all, okay? Abraham was chosen. Abraham was that chosen seed, okay? He was chosen. Through him came Isaac, okay? Through Isaac came Jacob and Esau. Now, we know that Jacob ended up becoming the progenitor of the 12 tribes, all right? But don't get hung up in the whole term Israelite with, the Israelites chosen people. These souls were chosen before they incarnated as Israelites, all right? All right? So you guys hear me talk about the journey of the soul all the time. So again, to wrap this up, my theory is that Jacob was the chosen one anyway. But for those of you that follow spirituality, for those of you that follow some of these esoteric principles about the soul, where the soul exists before it comes here, you'll understand that it's accepted in those communities that we choose our parents before incarnating, not the other way around. So could it be that Esau's soul jumped, just to draw it for you, jumped through the chute, through the energetic chute to come to earth through Isaac and Rebekah to steal Jacob's birthright ahead of Jacob? Did he try to jump through before Jacob so that he could say, I'm the firstborn, this is my birthright? Were they already at odds with each other in the ether before they incarnated in earth? Why is Jacob holding on to his heel? Was Jacob's soul jumping in after him like, oh no, you don't, trying to pull him back? They were fighting before they got here. So, again, I ask you, with those things in mind, did Jacob really steal Esau's birthright, or did Esau attempt to steal it and Jacob just got it back? I want to hear from you guys in the comments. All right. I'm going to wrap it up here. I normally I'll put some links to where you guys can find my books. You guys know I'm an award-winning author. I love it when people read what I write, and not just read it, but come back and hit me up in email or hit me up in Instagram and say, hey man, this book really, or leave comments on they'll leave a review on Amazon for me. Say, hey man, this book really touched my life in this way. This book changed me. This book turned. Read the book. I promise you, it's going to change your life. Both of those books. One of them is fiction. The other one is my story. They're going to change your life. Okay. I won't spend too much time on that. You guys, the links are in the description box below, and you'll see the thumbnails to the books at the end of this video. I want to hear from you guys. If you haven't done so already, please give this video a thumbs up, like it, and you got to share it with somebody. You got to share it with somebody, and you guys got to chop this one up. You guys got a whole week to chop this up. I'm going to come back next Friday, and I'm going to pour something on top of it and tell you why it's so important to know the answer to this question. All right? Until next time, listen, I end all my videos the same way. Tell somebody you love them and mean it. I love you guys. I say it all the time. This channel cannot thrive without you guys. So I thank you guys, and I love you. Tell somebody you love them and mean it. How do you mean it? You show it. Love is a verb. It's treated like it's a noun, but in truth, it's a verb. All right? I can say I love you all day, but if I never show you, it's empty words. Tell somebody you love them and mean it. How do you mean it? You show it. Peace, y'all.